So these guys argued, and I just took the time to just focus and kill as many human beings as I could. They'd fucking shoot at us, we'd fucking level it, we'd move up. They'd shoot at us, we'd level it, we'd move up.
What was the mission briefing for Tora Bora? What were you guys doing? Like, what was the
Bin Laden's there, go get him and kill him. End of discussion. Wanted dead or alive. That's it.
How'd you insert?
Fucking Toyota trucks, man. We drove up, drop a daisy cutter. Man, I had old fucking trusty Rusty. I had this red fucking Toyota truck. Like, I would attract mortar fire like you read about, man. It's fucking awesome. And we just drive right up in that bitch, right into the fucking middle. We get out of the truck on my first day. I'm with this other guy. He was like a Panama guy. He was the guy that in Panama, he shot the machine gun in the barracks and killed all the guys before they got out of bed. So like he had been to combat before. I drive my truck to the top of the mountain, past the tanks. There's fucking savages, the tanks shooting, like total fucking chaos, right? There's press. We had to fight our way through the press. We had a guy almost shoot the press. It was great. Like, this is the best thing ever, right? I'm thinking, so we get to the top of the mountain and like, we're just getting mortared like you fucking read about. And I was like, I asked that guy, I was like, is this incoming or outgoing? Like, what's going on here, right? Like, he's like, why? I'm like, this is fucking great. Like, and I just standing there, right? So he kind of like walked back by the truck and just left me there, right? And then like, I don't know, 10 years later, he was like, hey, remember that day on the top of the mountain? I was like, yeah. He was like, yo, those were incoming, but you had such a fucking smile on your face. I didn't want to ruin it for you. And I was like, I asked you incoming or out. If you said they were, I thought it was like the tank fire and kicking up. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. So like, and at the same time, like in the book Kill Bin Laden, like the fucking savage commander guy, I don't even remember his fucking name, but he's just like, yes, those are your men. And like, you know, Dalton Fury's like, yes, those are my men, you know what I mean? And he's thinking, what the fuck are they doing? You know what I mean? And I'm just over there like, this is fucking great. And like the savage commander, like, your men are very brave. Like, your men are brave. Like, they fucking love me, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's kind of what it was like. Total chaos. No idea what was going on all the time. Let's just make the best thing happen right now we can.
So was that your first kinetic deployment?
Yeah.
As an operator?
Yeah.
Through Ranger, through SF?
Yeah.
In sounds like several years over a Delta as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how did that feel?
Fucking amazing, man. Amazing. And then like typical team shit. I got two guys arguing who's going to be in fucking charge. One's senior by time. One's actually in charge, but he's junior by time to the senior guy. So these guys are arguing, and I just leave them argue. It'd be like, yo, you know, call for a fire mission, linear sheath, fan them out. You know what I mean? Half air, half ground. I'm just fucking working it. And then it'd be like, be like, hey, they ask if we're danger close. Say, hey, stop arguing for a minute. Hey, how far are we from the bad guys? 400 yards. They said 600. Yeah, send it. Get behind a rock. You know what I mean? And like, I fucking drop it. You know what I mean? And then, so these guys argued, and I just took the time to just focus and kill as many human beings as I could. They'd fucking shoot at us. We'd fucking level it. We'd move up. They'd shoot at us. We'd level it. We'd move up. Like, pretty simple. Was that affecting you at all? I mean, that's your first. Let's talk about your first kill. You said you were on the 50. Do you remember it? Yeah. Fucking McMillan 50. We shot dudes like, I don't know, 2,500 meters. The problem is like, look, this is why I'm not fucking claiming 1 million of these fucking kills, because you can't get there from here. But I'll tell you this, the motherfuckers never shot again. How do you know? Mm-hmm. So is this confirmed kills? So like, yeah, we shot people, man, with that 50. It was fucking great. Because
2,500 meters?
Yeah.
That's your first?
Yeah.
Shit.
First 10 days of the war.
That's your first engagement with a... Later, I'd have to go to Special Forces sniper school because I thought I was going to be a sniper team leader in the unit because I'd been a sniper for so long in the unit. And like I already had kills, had a big beard. They hated me over there. You know what I mean? Like, no, that's not right. No, that's...
But yeah, first 10 days of the war. And then we just killed and captured so many people. Like, I don't think guys really understand, like, you know, the lone survivor story, right? The Taliban, you know, on the Navy SEAL team. You know what I'm saying? And then it didn't go well for the SEALs. Okay. Yo, bring 400 of your friend. Tell them to bring their fucking trucks. Tell them to bring their machine guns. And like, we would just kill all comers. All comers. You know what I mean? And you'll hear other guys, there's other times we did even more of this in Iraq. We just kill everyone that shows up. So it's like the lone survivor story, like, I don't even understand it, because we would kill hundreds of people in a fucking day. Like, yeah, show up, we'll kill you too. We don't even care. Like, I didn't understand how those things really happened. You know what I mean? Compared to my experience and what I saw. You know what I mean? And then so, literally, man, I can't tell you how many days I got where we just killed so many people you can't even count.
So, I mean, no, basically zero rules of engagement. Just kill anything that shows up.
I used to call it State Department by Shrek. I'm the fucking State Department here. I make the decisions. Kill everybody. Let's go. Yeah. I love chaos. It's my jam. I gave you chaos as my jam sticker.
Yep. What? Let's talk about some of your Singleton missions.
So the first one, I had to go back into Tora Bora. Because I had been there. The premise of going back into Tora Bora is there was a guy who supposedly him and his sons brought bin Laden out. Right? They escorted him into Pakistan. Right? And then the goal was find him. So I had to go out alone. I was out for days, taxis, trucks, hitchhiking, whatever you want to call it. I get to the area. I had a Kent cigarette bag with a fucking, a Super 8 VHS. I think it was Super 8, or maybe been 6 mil at that time, but 8 or 6 mil like cassettes in the little recorder. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. In a Kent cigarette bag and like a sat phone. And I just fucking took a cab out of Jalalabad towards Tora Bora Mountains and hitchhiked all the way till I got there.
All by yourself?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And then...
I mean, how the fuck do you blend in?
You wear Savage stuff.
And that worked?
Yeah.
No terp, no nothing.
Just shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? You just shut the fuck up. Yeah, and then, like, I had to act retarded at a couple of the checkpoints. You know what I mean? Like, got the AK to the chest. And, it's like, if I open my mouth, I'm dead. So that's not an option. You know what I mean? And then I just figured I'd mongoloid voice at volume 11. So the guy's like, la 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 la. I'm like, rah, 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 rah. And the guy's like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how I got through the checkpoints. And that's how I got the assault force through all those checkpoints as well.
We hear, man down, he's shot in the head. And they just started raining danger close, like 105's down. His smoke is rising up. It looks like something out of a movie. So we're putting the bodies together, essentially, to see how many bodies there were. And it got called off pretty quick after, guys are gagging. And it's like, dude.
You guys were picking up limbs?
Yeah.
And piecing bodies together?
Yeah.
For an after actions report?
Yeah. I think that was the first time where I got a chance to feel like a sniper, where you're using air assets, precision rifle. And prior to that, I was shooting guys in the tree line. We were being ambushed again. And an assault team went up to this tree line. And I'll never forget looking through the scope. They had to walk across this field. Me and my spotter, sniper, were tucked into another wood line. And there's a couple 100 meters or so to the next tree line. Some guys had squirted off the objective and had hunkered down and was setting up an ambush point in the wood line. ISR fed us that information, and the assault team started to press them. And they have a dog with them. The dog's barking. He's honing in on something in the wood line. And I see these like flashes. I'm like, oh shit, those are eyeballs, blinking in the tree line. I don't have a clear shot. Nothing's really happening. And then you just see sparks erupt from the tree line, and Long goes down, Keith goes down. Our dog starts running weird, shooting through the tree line and making a circle. I'm like, what is going on? I start shooting. Then I see Long, one of the team leaders, and he's picking up Keith, and we hear man down, he's shot in the head and all this stuff, right? And
Shit.
I'm like, what the fuck? Or what, excuse me. And I start shooting guys in the tree line, but I'm not I can't really see where the bodies are. I could see flashes of light. I know I hit one guy. After that, my spotter, he's calling guys out. I don't know what happened after. If I'm hitting anybody after that, I'm laying down more so like suppressive fire as they're dragging their guys back. The dog is just running weird. He finally comes back to his dog handler. He gets picked up. The dog is shot. He took a round in his side. Keith took a round through his night vision, and Long took a round through his helmet. We called up a Carl Gustav. He puts, I think it was flechette rounds, into the tree line.
A what round?
Flechette.
I've never even heard of that.
It's like it's the big ordnance, but when it explodes, it sends out like shrapnel, like razor blades.
Fragmentation?
Yeah, something like that. I was not a Gustav guy, but I'm pretty sure it was called flechette rounds. And it would shoot out these like shrapnel into the tree line. And he shot that. It didn't really do much or anything that we could see. I think it hit low. And that's when we called in the AC-130. At first, the rounds were hitting they were to the right and behind the guys, off quite a distance. So I call up and I'm like, hey, I say, left 75 plus 50. Or I'm giving calls like that to bracket the rounds. Once I saw the rounds hitting where the ambush was coming from, where I knew the guys were at, in this sector of the tree line, fire for effect, and they just started raining danger close, like 105s down. Then I remember walking, closing the distance after the rounds were expended, walking across the field, and the smoke is rising up. It looks like something out of a movie. And I'll never forget this guy. I think he was in shock or something, but he's walking. I don't know where he came from, but he's walking through this smoke. And I had changed mags by this point. I lined up with him, and he turns to go do his thing. I don't know if he was out of it or what, but he's about to shoot, I perceive, or what. I don't know what he was going to do, but he was just dazed. And he's got his AK with the wrapped up tape around it. And he turns, and I remember plucking him, but it felt like my gun didn't go off or nothing ejected. And I thought I had like a squib round. I fired, an assault team lights this guy up. So I'm stuck looking at, empty out, or take my mag out, looking at what's going on, trying to figure out if I have a squib or whatever. My gun's jacked up. I had no idea that I was shooting subsonic. I had pulled the wrong mag, so I shot subsonic at him. And with the subsonic, you have to rechamber around each time, and it's not enough blowback to chamber the next round. I had no idea I was doing that. Finally figured it out, changed out my mag, and we carried on from that mission. But I remember going into the tree line, seeing body parts. And the first thing I came across was a hand. And it looked like, here again, my mind does a weird trick where I say Mickey Mouse glove. Like the swollen Mickey Mouse hand glove. It looked like that. Then I saw the arm, legs, like butt cheek, I think. Heads popped off and weird stuff like that. So we were told by our commander, we have to figure out how many guys for our AAR or after action report and call it up how many EKIA. So we're putting the bodies together, essentially, to see how many bodies there were. And it got called off pretty quick after, guys are gagging. And it's like, dude.
You guys were picking up limbs?
Yeah.
And piecing bodies together?
Yeah.
For an after actions report?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. To see how many guys that we killed. And we called it off early on. Like after 2 or 3 bodies, the ground force commander looks at me, says, Sierra, my call sign. Hey, how many guys were in here? I'm like, 5. I know for a fact 5. So we left it at 5. Had no idea. I'm pretty sure it was.
Is that like standard SOP? Have you done that before?
Yeah. I mean, not to that degree. We've done missions where
Like, what's wrong with just an
BDAs.
estimation? Like, I don't know, five bodies.
I don't know. We've done BDAs, battle damage assessments, where, you have a big Hellfire missile or something we had one in Iraq. Hellfire missile gets called in on a Hilux vehicle, blows up. We drive out to do a battle damage assessment and examine the bodies, take pictures, and see how many guys that we, took out. But that was, not routine, but it happened often.
Damn.
Where, if we weren't cutting off fingers, but that was not my job. I've seen the assault guys do it, but taking teeth. We had a suicide bomber working with the FBI, and suicide bomber blows himself up in the back of a pickup truck as we're approaching him. I remember seeing one of the assault team leaders. I didn't like him, so I'm just going to call him M. He lifts up, he flies back through the air, and like something out of a movie, we get hit with the blast, and luckily none of us got injured or hurt, but I remember hearing his body parts falling, and his head was sitting in the back of on the ground near the back of the truck, and the FBI guy put it up there, and we pulled some teeth using our Gerber knife and stuff like that. That was routine for us to do that, like cutting off our fingers and taking it to a compound that was not ours, by one of those agency, places. And that was my first experience in Marjah. And it was like that every mission in Marjah, all the way until we were about to do our final mission, our push in Marjah before the Marines came through that invasion. And our mission was to have 2 platoons. One was going to be on the east, one was going to be on the west. We were going to close in and kill everybody outside at night deemed a threat. And luckily that got called off, because I was sure we were going to have casualties. Luckily it got called off, and we ended up doing a mission out in Kandahar. And we got hit by the Afghan police out there, and that was a hell of a ride. But Marjah was like that. And some days I would kill 1 guy, some days I'd kill 5, 6 guys, but Marjah was all like that. I didn't find out until I got home. I was watching the news in my apartment with my wife, and I saw the Marines were going into Marjah, and that's when it all made sense of like what we were doing there, of like, we were supposed to, our whole job was to kill as many enemy fighters as we possibly could in Marjah before the Marines got there. And we killed that deployment like over 1,000 guys total.
You guys killed over 1,000 enemy combatants?
Yes. Oh, yeah. My wife was there during the ceremony when they announced it. When we got our awards, I got 2 awards from that deployment. One was a Valorous. The one where I dropped the bombs was the Valorous Award. Then I have some joint commendation medals from that deployment, but we smoked a lot of people on that deployment, a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
1,000?
Not all bullets, though. It was a lot of bombs being dropped, and we were killing people every night, though, every night. The ground guys, we were killing, like the entire platoon, you could get, 9, 15, 20 guys in a night. And that was a good night. But most of it was a lot of 500-pound bombs, a lot of ordnance, a lot of 105s and 30 mics, and a lot of that.
Let's go back to that first mission.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like 2 Rangers were killed that night.
Oh, no. Cool story. Keith, when he got shot through his nods, the bullet did not penetrate all the way through and deflected, so he ended up not getting hit. That's the second Ranger I knew who got shot in the head. Other guy who got shot in his nods, he was climbing up on a rooftop on a ladder, a sniper. He got shot through his nods, but I think the bullet went into his brain. It didn't kill him. He fell off the ladder, and I remember him chunking a grenade up there to kill the guy that shot him in the head. And he killed that guy. And Keith is the other guy that I knew who got shot through his nods, and the bullet didn't kill him. But when we got back, I remember Keith from when he first came in. I'm like, dude, what did that look like? He's like, bro, I thought it was a a beach ball coming at me. I'm like, you could see the bullet. Did you see trace? As a sniper, I'm like, when you're sniping, you can see the trace of the bullet. I wanted to know if he could see the back end of the trace, and he didn't know what I was talking about. But he said he thought it was a beach ball. Someone threw a beach ball at him, and it got big, and he was knocked down after that. Long got shot in his helmet, and he was fine too. The dog survived. We had to carry him out. And I remember the ambush and walking through the water, this ravine, and the dog handler, we patched him up, and he's carrying his dog, Chico, on his shoulder, and us getting ambushed. And that was the closest one where I shot someone, 20 feet away. It was an older gentleman who was, I guess he felt that Allah or whoever was on his side, and he wanted to just run through us for whatever reason. And we got the call to drop him. He didn't want to stop. We gave him commands. I remember shouting at him in Pashto and putting my red laser on him and circling his chest with it, putting around at his feet, putting around next to him, and he is just focused on coming at us. And I was like, damn, he was wearing all white, never forget it. And I looked through my scope and I put the scope on, it looked like a button on his shirt or a pattern. And I pulled the trigger, and it was just all white. I didn't see body parts or anything. It was just an all white, what he was wearing, the garment. And shot, and I looked, and then he was down. I was like, wow, I never shot someone that close before.
If anyone stopped for 5 minutes, like you were literally trading 5 minutes sleep for someone's life. Like that's how fast everything was happening. Like C-Spray, he lost 37 pounds in 10 days. He just would not stop. And so I made a decision that I was going to go get Aziz, his wife, and 6 kids. And in that decision, I knew that the people I had to call on would be veterans that I trust from the special operations community that had a couple of key criteria I was looking for. Mature guys who already had their combat lust sown and cared about actually going and getting Aziz out and not going there and getting in a fight with the Taliban. Mm-hmm. And that was super important to me. The first person that I called was, who recently came on a show, was Tim Kennedy. And, and Tim, I've known Tim for a long time. A lot of people don't know Tim's like not just a Green Beret, ASO level 3 guy, has done clan log stuff before, very mature human being, very mature combat experience. Tim, everybody thinks Tim is a big braggadocious guy. Tim does not brag, because if Tim bragged, you probably wouldn't believe half the stories of some of the stuff he's done. He's got some amazing experience in combat. And man, I remember calling him, and I knew he was getting asked to be some jobs with Afghanistan. He was turning stuff down because he has so many businesses he runs and he's busy. And when I told him I'm going to get Aziz and his wife and family, he was like, I'm in. Where do you need me to be? Let's go get him right away. No questions asked. And we ended up putting a team together, probably about 12 guys initially. It built a little over time. I don't know exactly how many at that time. And Sarah Verardo, contacted Sarah Verardo she runs the Independence Fund. Her husband was catastrophically wounded, a guy from Afghanistan. She knows a lot of people in D.C. Started putting this plan together, go get Aziz, his wife, and 6 kids. And as we were putting it together, one of the guys brung up the fact that there was these 3,000 orphans that were being left behind. And that was kind of a game changer of information, because everybody was fleeing. People were surviving because that thing was happening faster and faster. And we knew at that moment that we had to do more than help just Aziz and his family. I think everybody that was involved in this thing was people of faith. And so we all felt like God really burdened our hearts to help as many people as we could. And that's why we originally called it, Mighty Oaks started the Save Our Allies Coalition, which ultimately we used the Save Our Allies Coalition from Mighty Oaks and founded Save Our Allies as its own entity. But it started as that in the operation force that we called it Task Force 6-8 from Isaiah 6-8. Here am I, send me. And that's why we called it that, because we all felt God just burdened our hearts to go help those people. And we made a decision hey, let's just lean in and see what happens. Let's help Aziz, his wife, and 6 kids, but as many Americans, as many interpreters, their families, women, children, Christians, every person. Let's see how many people we could help. And so the first thing was see, can we get on HKIA, Hamid Karzai International Airport, and be able to go outside the wire and rescue people? Because right now we know that the White House took the NEO operation, non-combatant evacuation operation, away from the DOD and gave it to the State Department, which, by the way, that should never have happened. If you want to know why a lot of problems happen, it's because of that, because now the State Department treats HKIA like an embassy, and the military is used as a protective force of the embassy or the airport, and then the outer perimeter is given to the Taliban. Well, when the Taliban was given the outer perimeter, anybody that knows combat knows that whoever controls the outer ground space controls access to that ground space. And so now they have the White House telling Americans, if you want to leave, go to the airport. Well, you got some 21-year-old girl who went there to teach English or be a humanitarian aid worker or be an evangelist, and she's going to show her blue passport to the Taliban who's executing people in the streets because that's what was happening. Of course not, right? So that's this environment, and then the military is not being allowed to go outside the wire to go rescue their own civilians. And so how are they going to allow us? It's an impossibility. So the reason I say that is this, and I appreciate you saying that, about not putting the onus on me about doing this. Like we felt that burden and we were obedient to lean forward. But what happened in rescuing Aziz's wife and 6 kids and 17,000 other people? I want to make sure everybody that ever hears me talk about this knows this. Like, I am not smart enough, capable enough to pull that off. Logistically, it was an impossibility. There was so many obstacles that made this thing impossible. And the only thing I could point to when people ask, how did we do it? It was a modern day miracle from God. God orchestrated something that was completely impossible. Starting with us being able to have access to the airport. So many amazing veterans and organizations wanted to move people, and a lot of people did a great jobs doing that. But for some reason, we were the only ones that got access to get on the airport and go outside. And the reason why is because we had got permission from the Joint Chiefs Office to do that. And again, I don't know how. You would think, why would they not allow the military to do it? Why would they allow us to do it? Maybe Sarah Veroro has pictures of General Milley in high heels. I don't know. I don't know why.
She's probably not the only one.
Yeah. I don't know why, but we got the permission to be able to do that. And Sean Gabler and Sea Spray on the ground, able to get our own airstrip to be able to move people. All this stuff was happening at one time. But now that we have permission to do this, right? And not only that, but vet people, manifest people through those protocols. Now we have to move people who don't have visas across another country's border. That's illegal, right? I get people in the airport.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.